Hello everybody, I'm Avian. We are doing a Stardew Valley modding series for Content Patcher, and in this one I want to do just a walkthrough of what's in our manifest. This is one of those files that you will see in every mod out there because it's part of what tells your mod what it's about, who made it, what the unique ID is, are there any mods that have to be installed for your mod to work. All of those important starting blocks of information are kept in your manifest. So if you're in your folder, your manifest is going to be in your first level. Just name it manifest.json. Don't change that name. That needs to be like that. And then when you open it, I'm going to open mine in VS Code here. This is my favorite coding program. If you're looking for something, I do recommend it. So this is what a finished manifest usually looks like. It's going to be a little bit different for each mod. There's some things that do change. In my case, I chose to put my thank you note on my manifest. I've seen people put that at the beginning of their content or have their own document or a README file, or if you want to have a thank you note, there are many ways and places you could put that. I just put mine in my manifest. But the main meat of your manifest is right here. You have your name, your author, title, version, description, unique ID, update key, whether it's a content patcher mod or a SMAPI mod or something else, and then your dependencies. If you need a breakdown of this to reference, I highly recommend using the wiki. You can Google Stardew Valley modding guide, Stardew Valley modding guide. I will put the link in the description. You can stardewvalley.com/modding:modder_guide is going to get you there. Or your favorite search engine, just search for Stardew Valley modding guide, manifest, whatever part you're working on, and you're going to get one of these pages depending on your chosen topic that usually has all sorts of information. They're very good about keeping these up to date. I highly recommend them as a resource, as well as your local modding community, Discord modding community. I have had such a wonderful experience learning from people and been so blessed to find people patient enough to teach me. And thus the big giant thank you note, of course. So this, if you scroll down, you're going to get a table with each piece broken out, what it means, what it does, the parts that have to be there, and we'll get more into the nuts and bolts of it a little bit too when we go to create JSON. When you are looking at your manifest, pull up VS Code, you will start, of course, out with the name of your mod if you know what you want it to be named. That just goes at the top. Your author name is going to be what you want to be known as when other modders are playing your game. How are they going to refer to you as the person who created it? I go by Avian RPG both here on YouTube, on the Discord, and on Nexus. I thought it was easiest just to keep the same name across the board. I know people who have a different name for every different platform they be on, so use whichever one you want associated with your mod. The version number, this is a little tricky. I repeatedly looked up what each of these numbers meant until I got the hang of it. Your first number is your primary version. This is going to be the first iteration of my mod I've made, so that is going to be a 1. It's probably going to stay a 1 for a good long time. Your second number here, which in this current case is a 0, that is the number of major changes you have made. I am still writing my mod, so I have not made any major changes because to me, it's still in the process. Everything is just step by step. So what I have been updating is this third digit here, in this case the 6, that is going to be minor changes. So bugs, fixes, things you intended from start one to put in, and uh, if you're like me and you're just going step by step. The dash alpha I put there because it is an indication that my mod is still in progress, still being made. There's still going to be bugs and errors and things I want to tweak and change and fiddle around with. Um, Down the line, once I have everything built into my mod that I have decided I want to have in there, and I feel confident that it's ready to be tested as a whole as opposed to piece by piece, I might change that to beta. And then once I've had a chance to go through start to finish again, make sure I'm happy with the way things are, nobody's finding anything major, um, then at that point, I will consider releasing it on Nexus. And at that point, the number uploaded will be one, for me, will be 1.0 point, whatever that third number is for whichever minor version I am on. Once it's on Nexus, say there's a bug I missed, like something big, like one of the characters doesn't show up, or say I add something big in. Maybe I add a secondary goose character in to keep my first goose character company. That is when I will change that 0 to a 1. So for every big change there is what that second number changes. And then, down the line, maybe I decide Father Joseph, maybe I'm wondering why I made him a priest to begin with. Maybe I think, he should have been an accountant or he should have been a firefighter, or what if he's not a widower? What if his wife is still there? Maybe I want to add Granny Enid in and add a whole new storyline. Anything major like that where I change my story, that is when I would start changing that first number and the 1 would become a 2. So I hope that makes sense. Description. Just a basic one-sentence description of your mod. For me, it's a character mod for a grandfatherly priest and his family. If you're making a cropped mod, you might put, the new. Maybe you make raspberries, so it might be a crop mod to grow raspberries. Will be what your sentence is. It's just a sentence about your mod so people know what they might be getting into. Don't feel like you have to write a novel. A sentence is probably fine, and you can put all your details on your mod launch page. Your new unique ID. So this one is very, very important because your unique ID is used at different points when you are writing your mod code. It is also referred to as your mod ID or your modder's ID. I've seen all three used. What they are talking about is this right here. Most modders I have spoken to, and what I was advised to do at the very start when I first started learning how to make a mod, is use my author name dot name of mod, because odds are that nobody else is going to be using that specific combination. I mean, there may be other avians out there, but they're probably not going to make a garden cottage mod. They might make their own mod. So that is why I did that this way. If you want to, I know some modders who put their favorite string of numbers in as well. But as long as you feel confident that it is something that nobody else is going to use, that is what you will use there. Your update key. This is what when you have your little command window and it says, "Hey, this mod is ready for update." This is your key that if you put a version, like say somebody has 1.0.6 downloaded and I upload 1.0.7, this is the key that will tell them that there's been an update and they might want to update their mod. I don't believe this works unless you are on Nexus, because this is a Nexus number, different mod hosting platforms may have a different format for how this part is formatted. I put it in there from the start. What I did is, because I already have a Nexus page, is I made a blank page, left it unpublished, and used the number for that because I was very afraid I was going to forget to do this. Most people do just leave it blank, just with the quotes in there and nothing else until they're ready, and then they make their launch page and put their numbers in. And then the next bit down here, Content Pack 4, this is where you're telling your mod if it's for Smappy, if it's for Content Patcher, if it's for something else. There is a unique format depending on what you're using, which again is where I recommend going to your modder's guide. If you were making a Smappy mod, it would look like this bit here. But because mine is for Content Patcher, I have done this right here. The content pack for unique ID, Pathos Child Content Patcher. The minimum version is for if there is going to be a compatibility issue if Content Patcher was updated, and your mod will not work unless the most up-to-date version is used. You can put that minimum version tag in there, and that will tell people, hey, you need to make sure your Content Patcher is up to date to this. My mod currently, as it stands, to my knowledge, I'm going to say to my knowledge because if I don't, somebody's going to prove me wrong. To my knowledge, I have not encountered any bugs based on Content Patcher's version. So I have not put that in there yet. If I find a bug or am informed of a bug where that is the case, I will be putting it in. Dependencies. This is where, if you have set up your mod with a code pack or tile sheet pack, or they live in a specific location, this is where you tell your modders, hey, you need to make sure you have this installed or it's not going to work right. In my case, it's going to be East Scarp because that is where my characters are going to live. I also have the Space Core because I've been using some of the advanced sprite features so I could build bigger sprites for certain animations. I have a kite flying sprite. It's kind of cool. So Space Core is going to be required or that will not play correctly, which is why is required in this case is set to true. I'm going to pull up one of my other mods because I have made a portrait mod that does something a little different with this. And this was something I learned in the process of making my portrait mod. My Fire Emblem character portrait mod for East Scarp, there we go, has the dependency set different because what I needed for this is I needed certain mods loaded in a specific order, or I was not successfully putting my new Fire Emblem style portraits over the original style portraits. So what this does is it's set to false because if you don't have the mod, then the way I had set my config is if you don't have the mod, don't worry about it. Everything still works. It just doesn't load in those particular characters because you don't have that mod. But I still needed to make sure that the mods were loading when they were present before my mod was. And that's what doing it this way did. So there are reasons to have the is required set to false. There may be other test case scenarios where you need that set to false. This is just my experience. So if you have that scenario, post it in the comments so people can learn about it. And that is the end of the manifest setup. That is all of the different sections and everything. I hope you all had a chance to learn from it. I'll put the link to the wiki page in the comments. And until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful day.